Excuse me, class. Class! Shut up!
Join us again as we're heading back up top. This time, we're going to have a little fun. But most importantly, we're up here to get some much needed feed for our new flock. We did try out our hand a little bit at some ice fishing. Had a lot of fun cold. And right now, I am just praying I don't drop this tree on me or on my house. We are building up a little, which is always exciting about what our future holds. And I'll be showing some new tools that we got that we will be using in our milling from day to day. Please join us again on this episode as class is now in session.
Well, Janie and a few of the kids and myself are heading up top to the prairie. Jamie is a midwife working under another midwife, and she's also an ultrasound tech. So she's going up for an appointment, and I am going to get feed for the chickens. Good buddy of mine, Halfway Hollywood, called the other day and said that there's a farmer he knows has a 1-ton sack of white wheat that mice got into. So it's not really something good for human consumption, but it's great for chickens. So we may plant some out, and we plan on feeding a lot of this to the chickens. So it'll be a fun trip. They should have, I don't know, several inches of snow. As you can see behind me, ours melted away. And it's pretty cold this morning. It was 20 degrees when we woke up this morning. And it should be in the low teens up top where we're going. So we're out here at the farmer's house, and I was waiting for him to finish doing some work on a pole barn, and now they're getting ready to load up some wheat into the bed of my truck. Got to check it out though, there may be a big hole in the bag, so we may have to tape it up. Yeah, that's a lot of wheat. And Well, that was my first time out on that, trying to make a quick turn. Those are addictive. It's better if you have glasses. I dried my eyeballs out so bad I can't see. I just got back with all of that feed. That feed right there. That has to go somewhere because I have got to have my truck to transport this timber. So in order to do that, I'm about to build a feed bin. Now I got to get this up as quick as I can and start building a bin. We're going to try to build a bin in there, probably 4x4, out of some of the wood that's in there, and that's gotten weathered over years. It's not going to be something that you would use inside your house, or if you do, you need to do a lot of work on it, put it through a planer and a whole lot of things like that. So we're using that wood. We're going to use that wood and build us a food bin.
This is supposed to go up here.
Makes a father proud. Building a big old grain bin kind of sort of thing. As you can see, feed bag is gone. Now, we did have a slight issue last night. Some things I had forgotten to do, and as you can see, some of this wheat got kind of nasty in the bottom, and yeah, that's nasty. So we'll have to clean this out. My boys finished this bag off last night, and I was not informed that the bottom of this had so much wet, nasty wheat in it. So we'll probably scoop out that top couple inches and get rid of it. But one of the things that did happen last night, my boys, I helped them unload probably a third to a half of the bag. They wanted to finish, and I was happy to let them. And I went in to the house and started getting busy with some other stuff, and they came running in. Dad, it's leaking all over the place. Well, what happened was I forgot completely. I built it, designed it to do it, and forgot to come in and put screws along the edge here. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of wheat under there. And that's bad because that's going to be bringing in mice and so on and so forth. So this will work for now. We're going to be getting in some more feed today to mix in with this. Wheat's good for your chickens, but it's not a all-around feed that they can live solely off of. Things will start going bad for them long term with it. So we're going to be mixing in, I think, some sunflower seeds. We'll be mixing in some layer pellets, maybe some oyster shell. What else was there? The cracked corn. A few other things that we'll be mixing in with it. And then we're also building up compost piles that we're going to start bringing in, hopefully at least once a week or every other week to each section, and give them something to really dig in at. So, but that's the delivery of the wheat, and now we have it put up. I wish it was a better container, but I needed that truck in a hurry. So I am about to go finish cutting down these 3 smaller dead trees and getting them over to the log yard and start trimming them up for milling up for different projects, and for our small mill that we're going to be going to probably tomorrow or Friday, probably Friday. And so anyhow, so right now we're going to join Jamie in the kitchen. She is making a Greek style yogurt. We love this yogurt. It's super easy to make. So let's join her right now, and when we're done with that, we'll come back and I'll show you what we're doing out here with the trees.
Welcome back to the kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to make homemade yogurt in my Excalibur dehydrator. This is my favorite way to make it. I've tried making it in pots, the crock pot. Some people make it in coolers where they add ice to it to cool it down, but I've really found that this is the easiest way. So if you have a dehydrator, I think this is the way to go. I'm going to use a ½ gallon of raw milk, and it's going to make me 2 quart jars of yogurt. So before I get started with the milk, I'm going to start with my dehydrator, and I'm going to take all of my trays out. If you have a larger family and you need a lot more yogurt, you can definitely do a bigger batch, and I would think that at least 8 jars, maybe more, could fit into this. And I have done a bigger batch before, but today I only have time for a little bitty batch, so we're going to start with this. You could even make your yogurt in a ½ gallon jar because it does fit in here, but I'm just going to do the small quart jars today because I don't have enough milk to do a whole bunch. I'm going to be picking up some more milk today. So you're going to start off with 2 clean quart jars. I like the wide mouth jars because it's easier to get your yogurt into it with a funnel and less of a mess. So we're going to just set them in here, and I'm going to put my jars in here, and I'm going to turn my dehydrator on to 110 to get them warming up while I'm making my yogurt. So this is actually really an easy process. All you're going to do is pour your milk into your pot. And I'm just going to use a ½ gallon today, but you can definitely double this or triple it if you need to. My milk doesn't come up very high, so I'm going to have to put my thermometer down in it. And you're going to turn it up to a medium-low because you don't want to scorch it. So we're almost there on our heat. We're getting very close to 180 now. You can see that. I have turned my fire down a little bit lower because I don't want the bottom to scorch, and I just stir it every now and again. It's only been about maybe 10 minutes since I started. Shouldn't be much longer now, and it'll be done, and we'll do the next step. Okay, we are right at 180 degrees now on our milk. It's been cooking for about 10 minutes, maybe 12 minutes. I turned it down in the middle because I didn't want it to scorch, and I got my whisk out and I've been stirring it more towards the end. Now we're going to turn off our heat and let it sit so the temperature will come down on its own. You can stir it with a wooden spoon to make it cool down a little bit faster. You can put it in a sink full of ice water if you really need it to come down quickly. But you cannot add your yogurt until it's down to 110 degrees. Okay, our milk's ready. It's right at 110 degrees, and this next few steps will go pretty fast because you don't want your milk to get below 105. You really need to add in your yogurt while it's at 110 degrees. So we're going to take about a tablespoon of yogurt. It needs to be a plain yogurt. Go to the ingredients section, and if it has at least 3 culture strands in it, it's a good yogurt to use. I have tried using regular yogurt before. I really like to use the Greek yogurt more. There's different kinds of yogurt. If you want your homemade yogurt to come out thicker, I would use a Greek yogurt. I've even heard of people adding powdered milk to it before, and I do want to try that, but I haven't tried it yet. If you want a runnier yogurt, get the softer yogurt at the grocery store. I don't know what else to call it. But we're going to go ahead and add in our yogurt right now because our temperature is getting down, and I wanted to go down too much lower. So we're going to add 1 tablespoon of your yogurt to your warm milk. And I'm just kind of eyeballing it here.
It's like 4 tablespoons, baby.
So it's okay. And you're going to take your thermometer out and you're just going to stir it around. I don't think it hurts to add a little bit more yogurt to it. I didn't want to dirty up another dish. Okay, so you're going to just stir it in really good. And then you're going to get your warm jars out of your dehydrator. I am using a canning funnel. I'm just going to put it right in that. And then I'm going to pour my yogurt into the jars until you fill it up. Okay. Well, and I didn't tighten it all the way. I mean, I didn't leave it loose, but I didn't tighten it tight either. So now you're just going to put them in your dehydrator and let them do their thing. You don't disturb them for 10 to 12 hours. I think around 10 hours I'm going to check it, see if it's gelling up pretty good. And that's all you do. I think that took us less than 30 minutes to do, which is faster than I can go to the grocery store up here. So, and you know exactly what's in your yogurt. My kids love it. They like to put honey in it, syrup, berries, granola, and some of my kids even like it better than ice cream. So it's a really good thing to make if you can. It's not very expensive if you already have the milk, and it doesn't take very much time. So I hope you learned something today, and I'll see you next time.
But this I get nervous about. I get real nervous. I have here 4 dead trees. And this is by far the biggest one. And then there's a couple small ones. I'm not too worried about those, but this one here, I'm nervous. I am very nervous about. And the reason I'm nervous it's not something I'm comfortable with, but I got to do it. If you look here at the base of the tree, it is, I don't know if you can tell here, but it's pretty steep. And the tree is leaning slightly towards the house. And it will, I think it's tall enough to reach the house, which is not good. So I'm going to try to take it from what looks like, right now, it looks like it has a trajectory to go right here, and I'm going to try to get it to fall right here. And that is a best case scenario. This tree died. It started getting brown after the fire a few years ago, and I thought it was going to recover. The next year it kind of halfway recovered and got green on the top half or so again, and then it just slowly, and by this last spring we knew it was dead. And then the one next to it went brown within a few months, and then the next two died this last summer. So it's time to cut them down. And like I said, I always get nervous because there's blackberry brush everywhere, steep drop off right there at the base of it. I got my house right here, I got fencing right here, I got people texting me like crazy right now, and I'm not a faller. I'm not a lumberjack. You know, most of the trees I've cut were down in Texas on flat ground, and I could lay them where I want them, and most of them grew straight up. Out here, I have not had the success of getting trees to go where I want them to go. The last two I've done went where I wanted them to go. So I'm just doing a lot of praying, and I'm really hoping that I can continue in that tradition of getting it to go where I want it to go. I don't know that I will ever get used to get to where I can just walk out, look at a tree, and fall it without some hesitation, because people die doing this. They really do. They die doing this, and people with decades of experience die doing this. So I don't have decades of experience, you know. I have a few dozen trees in my lifetime I've cut down, maybe 4 dozen total. And again, most of them in Texas. I've probably done a dozen or more here, and only gotten 2 or 3 to fall where I want. Now, it is the last 2 or 3 that I've done. I use a lot more with the wedges, and I really try to get it to go where it needs to go. But I'm terrified. I am terrified when I do this. So pray for me. Hopefully you get to see the rest of this video. Okay, I thought I'd show you this. That is the inside of the bark. You see all those holes? That is not healthy. That is the sign of worms, pine beetles. This summer, there's a smaller tree down here. I peeled off a big chunk, and there were just some really big, long worms. They were nasty, white. Those were the larvae of the beetle, and check that out. I just pulled a chunk off. Apparently, well, apparently there's some other little creatures that like to stay in there as an insulated area. There's a yellow jacket I'll be happy to burn and kill off. Some of y'all may be asking, Aaron, what's blue stain? Well, if you've never seen blue stain, it's beautiful. Comes from, my understanding, is a bacteria from the poop of a beetle that is, they lay the eggs under the bark, they hatch out, they start eating into the wood and pooping, and then they bore out of the bark and fly out to another tree, do the same thing. These trees, we had quite a few pine beetles come through here, killed quite a few trees. There's still some dying off. Not much you can do about it, but this one has blue stain, and you can even see that right there is blue stain. Even the branches are blue stained all the way down. If you don't mind the sound, it's my son raking up these branches. But it's blue stain all the way through here, and you can see streaks of blue stain going in all the way around, real nice and light, and they go all the way through this these logs, and it's gorgeous. The very top of the log had blue stain. Here's the very bottom where I cut it. Let me try that. And there you can see all that blue stain, all this right here. And if you go to a mill and try to sell red fir, ponderosa pine, which this is white pine, if you try to sell any of that and it has the blue stain in it, they give you next to nothing. I think last time I saw the prices about a year and a half ago, they were buying red fir for, I don't remember, it was like $400 to $700 per 1,000 board feet, maybe $350 to $600 depending on quality. Cedar, you know, $900 to $1,500 a board foot and up. And even the pondy pine, you were getting several $100s a board foot. Sorry, per 1,000 board feet, not per board foot. Wish I could get hundreds per board foot. Per 1,000 board feet, you'd get $200 to $300. But if you had blue stain and you take it to these mills, they give you like $50 a 1,000. $50 a 1,000 board feet. That's ridiculous. It's crazy. And they mill it and sell it, and it usually sells cheap from the mills, the big mills, because they really don't have a niche or a market for it. But there are mills that only want blue stain pine and ponderosa, white pine, lodgepole, and those guys look for it. They pay premium for it. They mill it and they sell it, and they have different mills have their own classes of how much stain and what color the stain is. And I've seen those sell for $4, $5, $6 a board foot. It's insane how much I've seen it go for. And it's very valuable, and it makes beautiful siding, beautiful furniture, makes beautiful anything. And so I'm really looking forward to this. This log right here, the very base log of this tree, it only has, there's a branch there. That is one of the only ones on this whole tree, on this whole section. 12-foot section. You can see where some old ones there had died and rotted off, but that's going to be a gorgeous, gorgeous log to cut into. And I may cut, I don't know what I'm going to cut out of it. I may cut a bunch of 4x4s. I may cut steps out of these. Who knows? Who knows? It's gorgeous. And even these trees, most of the knots, very, very small. Even this knot right here, which looks real big, once you get into it, that's not a very big knot. And I was a lumber grader, and that's what I look for when I'm looking at trees, when I'm looking at boards. I'm trying to grade them out as I look at these logs. I never learned how to grade logs, but I can see this log and tell you this is going to make some gorgeous wood. Gorgeous wood. No rot, nothing. So very, very, very excited. All right. Woo, just about got it all cleaned up here. Just got some logs in the road. We're going to move these out. I'm going to bring my truck down. We're going to chain them up. We're going to drag them down to the log yard area.
Well, that's not what I wanted.
Time to get the truck and a chain and try to pull it out of there. now that I got the truck fixed, I can actually start really focusing on getting to a point where I'm making some money here. This down here is a slab that I cut this last summer. It was the first thing I did with my Alaskan chainsaw mill, and you can watch that video right up here. Actually, it might be right over here. I'm not sure. Right over in here somewhere, you'll see a description to it. It's an Alaskan chainsaw mill unboxing, and I'm going to be doing a lot more of this. I got busy this year and didn't do nearly what I wanted to do, but I'm going to try to be doing one of these, a log, you know, 1 or 2 logs at least a week, if not every couple of days. So what I have here is a live edge. I think I ended up cutting it at 9 feet, if I'm not mistaken. It's about 4 inches thick, and it's red fir, and it doesn't look real special right now. It's been out in the weather. You throw it through a planer, and it's going to bring out some really nice colors underneath and give it a nice smooth finish. And we're probably going to use this for an outdoor kitchen. And over here, let me show you. Right here is the log that we took that from, and I still need to finish this up here, but what we found out, I still need to take another slab off. But one thing we found out when we were building this, or cutting this, was my chainsaw mill was just a little bit too short to get all the way through this particular cut. The bar on my chainsaw is 20 inches. When you include the chainsaw mill and everything that you need to clamp it down, I believe my cutting area was about 17.5 inches. I do need to get a bigger bar, but for a larger bar for that size chainsaw, I gotta buy more chains. Not just because it's a bigger bar, but I gotta buy specific chains. I gotta buy skip tooth chains where it actually skips there's only a tooth every other time there should be a tooth there, because I just don't have the horsepower with this chainsaw. I'm hoping to get a new chainsaw in the next several months that can just rip right through a big tree, in which I may also upgrade and get a larger chainsaw mill. But I can take this mill into the woods. I can take it back here on steep hills, on the highway, in the river. There's a lot of places I can go and get timber that has fallen down. It's already dead, and you know, windstorm blows it over, and now it's just laying there rotting. That breaks my heart. Timber is at a premium right now, and I want to get what I need. We're trying to build some small cabins on here just for fun at this point. We're trying to build a barn. We're trying to build an outdoor kitchen. I want to build an outdoor sauna, bathhouse type of situation. There's a lot I really could do on this property, and it would be really gorgeous, but I need to start milling this timber, and so that's what I'm going to start working on today. So what I'm going to use first to finish this log up right here is a Timber Tough guide. This is a nifty little guide right here. It's very easy to use. It's actually easier than the chainsaw mill, and with a lot of what I'm doing, I'm finding that I actually prefer this in a lot of ways over the chainsaw mill. Now the chainsaw mill I think might be better in the long run for doing a lot of 1 or 2 inch cuts, maybe some slabs here and there. But with this, I can put a board on top, run it down one side, flip it around, move the board over, run it again, and do that twice, you know, roll the log over and then do it 2 more times. It takes 30-40 minutes and I cantered the log, and I can still use this to cut timber down to, well, as small as 4 inches. So, and I really don't plan on using much of anything less than 4x4 on my builds, other than perhaps some shiplap on the inside, maybe even the outside a little bit. I'm not sure. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this on the rest of this log here, and I'm going to go through and I'm going to trim off the excess that my sawmill just won't get through, and I'm going to cut some slabs here and just move along. Now the one I've used in the past has been this Timber Tough Board Maker, I believe is what it's called. And it's a great guide. It's got this little extra piece here. And you can come in here and set up your guide for between 6 and 4 inches. Now, what I'm doing here is a little different, and what I want to do is a lot different. Well, not a lot different, but what I ended up finding was a 1x4 guide, and this is called the Timber Tough Beam Cutter. It fits 1 or 2x4 dimension wood, and that's the only one it'll fit. But it's longer, and I haven't tried it yet. I believe it actually is going to be even more steady than that one there. This one's a little bit more expensive, and if you're interested in checking it out, I got these on Amazon. Very much worth the money, at least with that one. I'm excited to see about this one. Let's find out. was telling Abby, we can take these into the garden, put good soil under it, flip it over, and like plant tomato plants in the holes. That'll keep the, look at those mushrooms. We got this one just in time. It started growing mushrooms just under the bark, so hopefully we can salvage this, keep that from happening. I wish I knew more about mushrooms, because I have no idea if these are any good or not, poisonous or not. I have a feeling they are. Right now they're all ice, so they were just growing right here under this. That means the outside of this anyway is starting to rot when mushrooms are growing in it. Between moisture and bugs getting in here, it'll cause so much rot. So some trees faster than others. This one, red fir, it'll go several years, depending on how much moisture and sunlight it's getting. Now this log, I had to get the Timber Tough beam cutter. I had to get it for this log because my chainsaw was too short, and so the Alaskan chainsaw mill was a good 2 or 3 inches wider than what that could fit and make any substantial cut. I could just get the very top couple of inches off, and that would have been it. Really not much of a bargain in time or in any way. It would have taken more time for me to do it. And you'll notice on that other beam that I just got done cutting, there was areas, I wasn't really hitting anything towards this end, and that's because I freehanded it this summer to try to make it narrow enough to get the Alaskan chainsaw mill through. So this one here, we're gonna get the bark off. Daylight is running fast. We are up north. We're among one of the higher latitudes. Is that right? Latitudes that you can reach in the lower 48. And the days are getting longer. We are happy about that, but there's still only about 4.5 hours of daylight left. So, today I got 3-4 hours out here to play around and move some stuff around and all that, and it's gonna, it takes time. Look at that big boy. Ooh, ooh. Big, strong man. Mountain man.
Oh, no.
Girls are watching.
Shut up.
I bet there's a lot of cute girls watching. Ladies, he's only 12. But he's working hard. You better hope he's making a lot of money, because you ain't gonna like him for his looks.
Whatever.
Can't tell if those rosy cheeks are because of how cold it is or if he's blushing. He's a hard worker. He really is. He loves doing this kind of stuff with his dad and building and the animals. He is a good looking boy. with the sun going down and the temperature starting to plummet, it's time for us to go in. We'll start this back up tomorrow.
Thank you for joining us this week. We hope you enjoyed it. Join us next week as we travel out through the ice and the snow, deeper into the wilderness, to meet up with a good friend of mine, Mickey. Mickey owns a mill. He'll be showing us a lot of his techniques on milling boards, milling slabs, milling timbers. And he's going to show us some of the equipment he uses with his mill. And as you know, this episode was a little longer than normal, so we'll have to show you our ice fishing next time. Until then, I hope you have a great day. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit the subscribe button down below. It helps us more than you can know.